Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into something I think we all can relate to.
Okay.
It's those little quirks and habits we all have. You know, when we think no one's watching, the things we probably wouldn't admit to in public, right?
Yeah.
Well, we've put together a list of 10, and to be honest, they're more common than you might think.
It's true. And it's fascinating because those seemingly insignificant behaviors can actually reveal a lot about us.
Oh, okay.
Like our psychology, our need for connection, even our creativity.
Okay, interesting. So first up, the classic shower concert. I mean, we've all been there, right? Belting out our favorite tunes, like we're headlining Coachella.
Mm-hmm.
But is it just the hot water and the good acoustics, or is there something more to it?
Well, the acoustics of a shower, they do play a role. They create this natural reverb that can make our voices sound fuller and richer.
Right.
But it goes beyond that. Singing, even when we're alone, releases endorphins, which have mood-boosting and stress-reducing effects.
So it's like a self-care ritual then.
Exactly. And there's a physical benefit, too.
Yeah.
Singing involves deep breathing and controlled use of our vocal cords and diaphragm.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like a mini workout for our respiratory system.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Huh. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why I always feel so good after a shower concert. Speaking of feeling good, let's move on to another habit that often happens in the privacy of our own homes. The spontaneous kitchen dance party, you know? When that catchy tune comes on and suddenly you're busting a move while chopping veggies or whatever.
Yeah.
So why do we do that?
Well, the urge to dance even when no one's watching is deeply ingrained in us.
Oh.
It's primal, you know. For centuries, humans have used dance as a way to celebrate, to connect, to release energy.
So it's more than just letting loose. It's like tapping into something ancient and universal.
Absolutely. And it has amazing benefits too. Dancing, just like singing, it can improve cardiovascular health, strengthen muscles, and even increase flexibility.
Yeah.
It's a full body workout and a mood booster all rolled into one.
Really? Wow. So those silly kitchen moves are actually good for us.
They are.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. Maybe these embarrassing habits aren't so bad after all. All right, this next one might be a little too relatable for some. Talking to yourself like you're, a movie star. Practicing those award acceptance speeches or imaginary arguments.
Oh, yeah.
In front of the mirror.
Mhm.
I've definitely been guilty of that.
Yeah.
But why do we do that? I always thought it was just a way to let off steam.
It can be that, but it's also a way to process emotions.
Yeah.
To problem solve, to clarify our thoughts.
Okay.
It's like having a mental rehearsal for a real-life situation.
So it's like prepping for those big moments or tough conversations.
Exactly. By talking things through, even if it's just with ourselves, we can gain a better understanding of our own feelings and motivations and potentially even boost our confidence.
Okay. This next habit is a little more personal, maybe even a little cringeworthy. The sniff test. You know when you're trying to decide if that shirt is clean enough to wear one more time?
Yeah, the sniff test, it's a classic.
But is there more to it than just being, lazy about laundry?
Definitely. Our sense of smell is, it's incredibly powerful.
Right.
But it can also be quite subjective.
Okay.
What one person finds offensive, another might not even notice.
Right.
And we tend to become habituated to our own scent, which makes it harder to judge objectively.
So it's not that we're intentionally trying to wear dirty clothes. It's just that our noses might be playing tricks on us.
Exactly. Plus there's a social element at play. We're constantly trying to manage the impressions we make on others, even when we're alone.
Oh.
The sniff test is a way of checking ourselves, making sure we're not crossing any invisible lines of social acceptability.
That's interesting. I never thought about it that way. It's like our sense of smell is tied to our social anxieties. In a way, okay, this next habit taps into our inner detective, the I'm totally not spying peek at the neighbors.
Yeah, the allure of a real-life neighborhood drama. It's hard to resist.
I know, right? It's like we're all secretly fascinated by what's going on in other people's lives.
Yeah.
But why is that? Is it just plain nosiness or something deeper?
It's more than just nosiness. Humans are inherently social creatures. We're wired to observe others, to learn from their behavior,
Right.
to understand social cues. It's part of how we build community and navigate our social world.
So it's like a way of staying connected to our surroundings.
Exactly. By observing our neighbors, even from a distance, we're gathering information about our environment, about social norms, about what's considered acceptable behavior.
Yeah.
It's a way of learning how to fit in, even if we're not consciously aware of it.
I see. So it's not just about gossip. It's about understanding the unwritten rules of our social world. Okay. Let's talk about a habit that can be both helpful and anxiety-inducing. Googling weird symptoms. I mean, I think we've all been down that rabbit hole at some point.
Absolutely.
You know, one minute you have a headache and the next you're convinced you have like a rare brain disease. It's like the internet amplifies our health worries.
It's true. The problem is that online symptom checkers, they often present worst case scenarios.
Right.
Which can lead to a lot of unnecessary stress and fear.
Yeah.
And it's easy to misinterpret information, especially when it comes to complex medical conditions.
So what's the best approach then? Should we just avoid Googling our symptoms altogether?
It's not about avoiding information. It's about using it wisely.
Okay.
The internet can be helpful for getting a general understanding of potential issues.
Right.
But it should never, ever replace professional medical advice.
Yeah.
If you're concerned about your health, always consult with a doctor.
That's a good reminder. Don't let Dr. Google be your only physician. Okay, let's step back into the shower for a moment and talk about another common habit. Having those imaginary arguments. You know, when you finally get to deliver that perfect comeback you wish you would have said in real life?
Ah, yes, the shower as a personal courtroom.
Yeah.
It's a surprisingly common phenomenon.
I mean, it's like we're replaying those frustrating encounters, but this time we're in control of the narrative.
Right.
Why do we do that, though? Is it just a way to vent, or is there something more to it?
It can be a form of catharsis, a way
Sure.
to release pent-up emotions and frustration.
Mm-hmm.
But it can also be a way of processing conflict and preparing for future interactions.
Like a mental rehearsal.
Exactly. By playing out different scenarios in our minds, we can explore various outcomes, consider different perspectives, and practice how we might respond in similar situations in the future.
So it's like we're sharpening our communication skills, even if it's just in the privacy of our own shower.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it can be surprisingly effective. Sometimes just talking things through, even if it's with an imaginary opponent,
Yeah.
it can help us gain clarity and find more constructive ways to approach conflict in the real world.
Well, that's reassuring. I guess those shower arguments aren't just about winning. They're about finding better ways to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's head to the kitchen now for a dose of culinary creativity. Have you ever found yourself pretending to be a chef while cooking? You know, narrating your every move like you're on a cooking show.
The joys of a solo cooking show. It's a fantastic way to add a little fun and flair to the everyday routine of preparing meals.
Yeah, it's like we transform into, you know, culinary stars wielding our spatulas with confidence and flair. But why do we do that?
Well, it's more than just entertainment.
Yeah.
This playful approach to cooking, it can actually enhance our creativity and inspire us to experiment with new flavors and techniques.
It's like we're tapping into our inner child, the part of us that loves to play and pretend.
Exactly. By embracing that playful energy, we open ourselves up to new possibilities in the kitchen. We become more willing to try new things, to take risks, to create something delicious and unique.
And even if the dish doesn't turn out perfectly, at least we had fun creating it, right?
Right.
Okay, this next habit might be one we all do, but rarely admit to. Making weird faces in the mirror. You know those moments when you contort your features, you raise your eyebrows, and just generally experiment with the full range of your facial expressions.
It's one of those things we do in private when we think no one's watching.
Exactly.
But it actually reveals a lot about our fascination with our own image,
Right.
and our desire to understand our physical selves.
So it's more than just vanity.
Absolutely. Our faces are incredibly expressive,
Yeah.
conveying a wide range of emotions and social cues. By playing with our facial expressions, we're exploring that range, testing the limits of our features, and perhaps even discovering new facets of our personality.
So it's like we're trying on different masks, different versions of ourselves to see how they feel and how they might be perceived by others.
Precisely. It's a form of self-exploration, a way of getting to know ourselves better,
Okay.
both physically and emotionally. And sometimes it's simply about releasing tension and having a little fun with our reflections.
Okay, last but not least, let's talk about a habit that speaks volumes about the special bond we share with our furry friends. Singing to our pets.
Yeah.
They're dogs, cats, birds, even hamsters. It
Mhm.
it seems like we can't resist serenading them with our favorite tunes.
It's a beautiful expression of the human-animal bond.
Yeah.
And it reveals a lot about our need for connection, emotional expression,
Yeah.
and perhaps even a little bit of anthropomorphism.
By anthropomorphism, you mean projecting human qualities onto our pets.
Exactly. We tend to see our pets as little furry humans capable of understanding our emotions and appreciating our artistic talents.
Right.
Whether they actually do is debatable, but the act of singing to them, it speaks to our deep desire to connect with them on an emotional level.
It's like we're sharing a special moment with them, even if they're secretly plotting their escape from our off-key serenades.
And perhaps on some level they do sense our intentions and respond to the emotional tone of our voices. After all, the human-animal bond is a powerful force,
Yeah.
capable of bringing immense joy and comfort to our lives.
Well said. It seems like these seemingly embarrassing habits are actually quite normal and often harmless ways to cope with stress, express ourselves, and simply enjoy, life's little moments.
And as we've explored today, they can even reveal fascinating insights into our psychology, our need for connection, and our unique ways of navigating the world. We'll be back after a short break to continue our deep dive into these intriguing quirks of human behavior. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the deep dive.
It's amazing how these quirky habits we've been talking about can shed light on deeper aspects of human behavior.
Exactly. Let's take another look at those shower concerts we talked about earlier. We often think of it as just a fun way to pass the time, but there's a lot more going on beneath the surface.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm actually really curious to hear more about those psychological benefits that you mentioned earlier.
Okay, well, for one, singing, it releases endorphins.
Yeah.
Those feel-good chemicals that act as natural mood boosters and stress relievers. It's like giving ourselves a little dose of happiness therapy while we lather up.
So it's not just about sounding good in the shower, it's about feeling good too.
Exactly right. And beyond the emotional benefits, there's a physical aspect as well.
Yeah.
The deep breathing and controlled use of our vocal cords that's involved in singing can actually strengthen our respiratory system and improve lung capacity.
Wow. So those shower concerts are like a workout for our body and mind.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears to those spontaneous kitchen dance parties. We talked about the ancient roots of dance, but let's delve a bit deeper into the psychology behind this urge to move.
Okay, yeah, I'm all ears. I've always wondered why certain songs, they just make us want to get up and groove.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Music has this powerful effect on our brains, triggering the release of dopamine, another feel-good chemical that's associated with pleasure and reward.
Oh.
So when we hear a catchy tune, our brains light up and our bodies naturally want to move to the rhythm.
So it's like our brains are hardwired to respond to music through movement.
Exactly. And beyond the neurological response, there's a psychological component as well. Dancing, even when we're alone, allows us to express ourselves freely and release pent-up emotions. It can be a form of stress relief, a way to boost our energy levels, or simply a way to have fun and let go of inhibitions.
Yeah, I definitely feel more energized and happy after a good dance session. So it seems like those impromptu kitchen dances are are more than just, silly fun.
They certainly are.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to another habit that might seem a bit odd at first glance.
Yeah.
Talking to ourselves. We touched upon the benefits of self-talk earlier, but let's explore the different ways it manifests in our lives.
Yeah, I'm intrigued because I know I talk to myself more than I'd like to admit.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like I'm having a full-blown conversation with myself.
So that's completely normal. You're in good company. Many people engage in self-talk, whether it's out loud or in their heads. It can take many forms, from pep talks and motivational speeches to problem-solving exercises and even imaginary arguments.
So it's not just about giving ourselves a confidence boost or venting frustrations.
Not at all. Self-talk serves a variety of purposes. It can help us organize our thoughts, process complex emotions, practice different scenarios, and even work through difficult decisions.
So it's like having this internal dialogue that helps us make sense of the world and our place in it.
Exactly. It's a powerful tool for self-reflection and personal growth.
Yeah.
Now let's revisit that somewhat embarrassing habit we all know and love, the sniff test.
Oh, yes, the infamous sniff test. I'm ready to dive deeper into the science and the psychology behind this peculiar behavior.
It's more intriguing than we might think at first glance. Our sense of smell is incredibly complex, and it plays a vital role in our survival.
Right.
It helps us detect danger, identify food, and even recognize familiar people.
But why do we turn to our noses when it comes to, judging the cleanliness of our clothes?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, we tend to become desensitized to our own body odor over time.
Right.
What might seem strong to others might barely register with our own noses.
So it's not that we're intentionally trying to wear dirty clothes, it's that our sense of smell might be giving us a false sense of security?
That's one part of it. But there's also a psychological component at play.
Hmm.
The sniff test can be a way of managing our anxiety about social acceptance.
Oh, okay.
We want to make sure we're presenting ourselves in a way that's considered appropriate and hygienic.
So it's like we're trying to avoid any potential, social awkwardness or judgment, even when we're alone.
Precisely. It's a subtle way of regulating our behavior and ensuring we're adhering to social norms.
Hmm.
Now let's move on to a habit that taps into our innate curiosity, observing our neighbors. We talked about the social benefits of this behavior, but let's explore some of the potential downsides.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point because while a little curiosity can be harmless, too much of it can cross the line into, nosiness or even invasion of privacy.
You're absolutely right. There's a fine line between healthy curiosity and intrusive behavior.
Right.
It's important to be mindful of that line and respect our neighbors' boundaries.
So how can we distinguish between harmless observation and overstepping boundaries?
It's about being aware of our intentions and the impact of our actions. If our observations are motivated by, genuine interest in our community and a desire to connect with our neighbors, that's one thing. But if we're snooping around, gossiping, or spreading rumors, that's when it becomes problematic.
So it's all about being respectful and considerate of others.
Exactly. Now let's turn our attention to a habit that has become increasingly common in the digital age: Googling weird symptoms.
Yeah.
We touched upon the potential dangers of self-diagnosis, but let's delve deeper into the psychology behind this behavior.
Yeah, no, I'm fascinated by this because it seems like the internet has just amplified our anxieties about health. I know I've definitely fallen into the trap of, diagnosing myself based on a quick Google search.
It's a very common phenomenon, and it's understandable why we do it. We
Right.
have access to an incredible amount of information at our fingertips, and it's natural to want to understand what's happening to our bodies.
Right, right.
But as we discussed earlier, online symptom checkers, they can be misleading and often present worst-case scenarios,
Yeah.
leading to unnecessary worry.
Right, exactly.
And beyond the accuracy of the information itself, there's a psychological effect at play. When we're feeling anxious about our health, it's easy to fall into a cycle of confirmation bias.
Oh, okay.
We tend to seek out information that confirms our fears, even if it's not representative of the bigger picture.
So we end up creating a self-fulfilling prophecy where we convince ourselves that we have a serious condition, even if it's unlikely.
Exactly.
Right.
It's important to be aware of this tendency and to approach online health information with a critical eye.
Yeah, I guess the key takeaway is to use the internet as a starting point for research, but always consult with a healthcare professional for any serious concerns.
Absolutely. Now let's step back into that familiar territory, the shower, and revisit those imaginary arguments we talked about earlier.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious to learn more about the psychological benefits of this seemingly strange habit.
Well, as we touched upon earlier, those imaginary arguments can actually be a healthy way to process conflict and prepare for future interactions.
It's like a safe space to, practice our communication skills and experiment with different approaches.
That's a great way to put it. By playing out different scenarios in our minds, we can explore various outcomes, consider different perspectives,
Mhm.
and find more effective ways to express our thoughts and feelings.
So it's not just about winning the argument, it's about finding better ways to communicate and resolve conflict.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And beyond the practical benefits, there's an emotional component as well.
Yeah.
Those imaginary arguments can be a way to to vent frustrations, release pent-up emotions, and gain a sense of closure.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Sometimes it feels good to just let it all out, even if it's just to an imaginary audience.
It can be very cathartic. Now let's move from the shower to the kitchen and revisit those culinary adventures we talked about earlier, pretending to be a chef while cooking.
Okay, yes. I'm eager to learn more about the link between playfulness and creativity in the kitchen.
It's a fascinating connection, isn't it? When we approach cooking with a sense of play, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and allow our creativity to flow more freely.
So it's not just about making the cooking process more, enjoyable. It's about enhancing our culinary skills as well.
That's right. When we're not afraid to experiment, to make mistakes, to try new things, we're more likely to come up with innovative dishes and discover new flavor combinations.
Yeah, it's like we're giving ourselves permission to be creative and to break free from the constraints of, traditional recipes.
Exactly. And that freedom can lead to some truly delicious surprises.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's turn our attention to a habit that reveals our fascination with our own image, making weird faces in the mirror.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that urge to contort our features and experiment with different expressions. But why do we do it?
It's more than just vanity or boredom. Our faces are incredibly expressive, and they play a crucial role in social interaction.
Right.
So by making faces, we're essentially practicing our nonverbal communication skills.
So it's like we're rehearsing for real life social interactions, even when we're alone.
Exactly. We're exploring the range of emotions we can convey through facial expressions and experimenting with different ways to present ourselves to the world.
It's fascinating to think about the subtle ways we're constantly shaping and refining our social personas.
Indeed. Now let's move on to our final habit, singing to our pets. We've already discussed the emotional bond behind this behavior, but let's delve deeper into the potential benefits for both us and our furry companions.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious to hear more about the impact of music on animals.
While scientific research on this topic is still evolving, there's evidence to suggest that music can have a calming effect on animals, just as it does on humans.
Oh, okay. So those impromptu concerts might actually be beneficial for our pets.
It's possible, and beyond the potential therapeutic effects, singing to our pets is a way of strengthening our bond with them.
Yeah.
It's a form of communication and an expression of love and affection.
It's like we're creating a shared experience, even if our pets don't understand the lyrics or appreciate our vocal talents.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And perhaps on some level they do sense our intentions and respond to the emotional tone of our voices. The human-animal bond is a powerful force, and music can be a beautiful way to nurture that connection.
Well said. It seems like these seemingly embarrassing habits are not only normal, but often serve a positive purpose in our lives.
They certainly do. They provide insights into our psychology, offer opportunities for self-expression, and remind us of the importance of connection and playfulness. We'll be back after a short break to wrap up our deep dive into these intriguing quirks of human behavior. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've spent this whole episode exploring those funny little habits we all have when we think no one's watching, and it's been quite a journey.
It really has. We've uncovered some fascinating insights into human psychology and discovered that these seemingly embarrassing behaviors often serve a deeper purpose.
Yeah, it's like we've peeled back the layers of everyday life and found these hidden gems of human nature.
Precisely. And what we've learned is that these habits are not something to be ashamed of, but rather something to embrace.
Mm-hmm.
They're a part of what makes us unique and interesting individuals.
So what's the key takeaway here? Should we just let our freak flags fly and not worry about what others think?
I think it's more about finding a balance between self-acceptance and social awareness.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that these quirks are part of who we are, while also being mindful of how they might be perceived by others.
So it's not about suppressing our individuality, but about expressing it in a way that feels authentic and comfortable for us.
Exactly. It's about being true to ourselves while also navigating the social world in a way that feels respectful and appropriate.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on these seemingly embarrassing habits.
Me too. It's amazing how something as simple as singing in the shower or talking to yourself can reveal so much about our inner workings.
Yeah, and it's reassuring to know that we're not alone in these quirks. We all have our little secrets and silly habits that make us human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And perhaps that's the most important lesson of all,
Yeah.
to embrace our imperfections, to find humor in the everyday, and to celebrate the unique tapestry of human behavior.
So the next time you catch yourself, indulging in one of these habits, don't be embarrassed. Embrace it. It's part of what makes you you.
Well said.
Uh,
And remember, the world needs your quirks, your silliness, and your unique perspective. Keep on singing, dancing, and being your authentic self.
this has been The Deep Dive, exploring the fascinating world of embarrassing habits. We hope you've enjoyed the journey and that you'll join us next time for another deep dive into the mysteries of human nature. Until then, keep being awesomely you.